You've worked your entire life for this moment. You're only a few weeks away from potentially signing a contract that will change your life forever. In fact, the numbers are huge. The first pick in the MLB Draft this year will sign for upwards of $9 million. And the average of the top 50 picks will sign for almost $4 million. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you what the true value of that signing bonus is and what you need to be thinking about to make sure that you maximize it. Hey everyone, if we haven't met before, my name is Jacob Turner. I'm a former Major League Baseball player. I was the 9th overall pick in the 2009 draft, so I know exactly what you're going through. Today, I run a financial planning firm that specifically helps athletes and entrepreneurs build and protect wealth. Said another way, we help people that are coming into sudden wealth, just like you might be able to, make sure that they maximize every dollar that comes in. So in this video today, I'm going to walk through what an MLB signing bonus looks like. I'm going to talk through the key factors to think about, and we're going to look at real numbers of what this could actually look like in your life. And I'm going to point to one specific number that matters more than all the rest. Let's dive in. All right, when we start with an MLB signing bonus, I think it's important that we level set. The number that you sign for does not matter. All right, well, it kind of matters, but it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And here's the reason why. We really need to understand what is the number after taxes and agent fees and spending and all these other sorts of factors. So the way I want us to break this down is to remember these 5 key factors before we ever talk about numbers. Number 1, you are not going to invest every single dollar that you have from an MLB signing bonus. Now, the easy math on this is if you sign for $1 million, if you sign for $2 million, if you sign for $3 million, cut it in half, and that's roughly what you're going to get. But you are not going to invest every single dollar that comes in. In fact, for a lot of our athletes, we recommend at least 10% in cash or war chest for either future expenses or things that are going to come up. Because one thing I do know, I don't know that much, but one thing I do know is that your life is going to change a lot from the time that you're 18 to 22 and you're getting drafted to the time that you're 30 years old. Number 2, inflation's around 3%. What is inflation? What is 3%? Why does this matter? Well, the cost of goods today, the things that you want to buy, the future house, the future car, the groceries, the travel, the trips, etc., those are going to go up in the future. And the cost of the things today are going to be more expensive in the future. So you need to understand what the value of your money is today and what the value of your money could be in the future. Number 3, I already mentioned this, but life is going to change a lot from the time that you get drafted as an 18 to 22-year-old to the time that you're a 30-year-old. And the reason why I mentioned 30, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there's one number that matters above all the rest. And my argument is, at age 30, how much money do you have? And the reason why that matters so much is because at age 30, you're either going to be on your second contract, and this money from the draft, even if it was $8, $9, $10 million, is going to be peanuts to what you're playing for now. Or you're going to be thinking, okay, I got to figure out what I'm going to do next in life. I'm now a former player, and I'm leveraging all the resources that I gained, all the money that I made as a current player in my next journey. Number 4, you're often spending off your portfolio. So if somebody shows you what's called a linear rate of return, just means you make more money every single year and you don't actually spend off of it, I would make the argument that it's pretty hard to do that. Now, you could have it bucketed out where you have some sort of money that's totally set aside, and then you have other money that you're not going to touch and money that you're going to spend. But the reality is, if you sign for millions of dollars, you're going to be spending some of that money on your lifestyle. If you're in the minor leagues, you're probably making around $30,000 a year, not a ton of money. Could you live on that? Yes. But the reality is you're probably going to want to buy a reward purchase, or you're probably going to want to increase your lifestyle as you get older. Number 5, this is really important. Please listen up, athletes. Your baseline spending number, when you get done playing, if you have no income coming in and you said, Jacob, how much money can I spend off my portfolio today? The baseline spending number is about 3%. So let me give you some real numbers behind that. If you have $1 million saved, that's $30,000 per year. Let me say that again. If you have $1 million saved, that's $30,000 per year. I know, it's a little shocking. It's a lot less than I certainly thought it was. And now look, the reality is a lot of factors go into this. Our spending, our saving, how we're investing the money. Could you spend more than 3% off your portfolio? Definitely. But what I always like to start with is, what is a baseline number that if we spend off the portfolio, we're not going to dip into our initial principal? Because the hardest thing to do with saving money and building wealth is to build the initial snowball. As an athlete, as a potential draftee, you have that opportunity in one foul swoop to build a snowball that can sustain you for the rest of your life. But the way that you need to do that is understanding the foundation of this, like those 5 things that we just talked about here. Okay, now let's talk about the numbers. I want to show you what these numbers actually look like. We've set the foundation. We understand what it looks like. We understand what the opportunity set. Now let's talk about the numbers of this. What you're looking at here is the average of the top 50 MLB signing bonuses from 2023, which was $3.9 million. And instead of just showing you a linear rate of return, what I want to show you is what does a realistic scenario look like, where you're actually spending money off the portfolio, you actually made a reward purchase, you're investing the money, but you're not trying to hit home runs with it. We're not going to show you 10, 15, 20% rates of return. So let's start on the left side of this. The average signing bonus was $3.9 million. That means your projected tax and agent fees, after all that, you're going to take home about $2.4 million. Okay, so you signed for 3.9, you took home about 2.4. And let's say we're spending about $4,000 a month and we have $100,000 in reward purchases. Now you might be thinking, what's a reward purchase and what's the difference between that and spending per month? A reward purchase is a one-time purchase that we make to reward ourselves for all the hard work we put in. For most of you athletes, that's probably going to be a car or a trip or a vacation or something with your family, something that's going to reward you for all the work you've put in over the last several decades. The second part of that is, what is our monthly spending? This is the number that we're going to spend every single month. This is not a reward purchase. This is for things like food and gas and groceries, etc. In this scenario, we're putting in $4,000 a month. For most of the athletes that we work with, we're starting with somewhere between $2,000 a month and $5,000 a month, depending on what their lifestyle looks like, depending on what their signing bonus looks like, depending on how the money's invested. So in this scenario, we put $4,000 a month. Now, I want to show you the worst case scenario. And the reason why I want to show you the worst case scenario is because we can always plan for the better case. And the way that we view it is, we want to plan for the worst case, and then we want to cheer on our athletes for the most optimistic case. I want every athlete we work with to play in the big leagues, to make it to arbitration, to make it to free agency, to get 10 years in the big leagues. The reality is, it's not the case for every single player. So for us, our job is to make sure that you are maximizing all the money that comes in, all the guaranteed money from the signing bonus that comes in. We want to treat it like it's the last dollar we're ever going to make. Okay, so if we do that and we say we have no more money invested in the portfolio, the only thing we're going to make is our signing bonus. At 7% rate of return, invested $2.338 million. Because remember, we spent $100,000 of our 2.4 on reward purchases at age 18. We have a plan in place. We're going to optimize for our tax situation. We're going to have proper insurance coverages, and we're going to have direction and protection for our money. And we're going to get done playing. And we're going to be about 30 years old. Remember how I said there was one number in this video that mattered above all the rest. And I would argue it's how much money you have saved in your bank account at age 30. And again, the reason for that's pretty simple. At age 30, either this signing bonus is going to be old news and you're going to be making tens of millions of dollars a year, or you're going to be thinking like me, okay, what's next? I got done playing at 29 years old. And thank goodness I was a good steward of the money that I earned when I was playing and the money that I earned when I was drafted. But the reality is, we have to treat all those dollars like it's the last dollar that we're going to make. So in this scenario, that's exactly what we're doing. At age 30, this player would have $4.5 million. That's $4.5 million. When they got done playing, they're earning $50,000 a year. They got a job, but they're spending $100,000 per year. So let me say that a different way. They're spending more money than what they're making in their next career. But because they were smart with their money on the upfront, because they built that initial snowball, now all of a sudden they can dip into that snowball a little bit and they can supplement the job that they have over here. And what I like to describe that as is, that's financial flexibility. And ultimately, that's what you are trying to accomplish in the draft. You are not going to get what I would call sit on the couch money in the draft. Even if you sign for $10 million, if you get $5 million, you spend a little bit, when you get done playing, you're probably going to need to do something else. You can make sure that at bare minimum, you fall into bucket 2, which is financial flexibility, which is exactly what this shows you. At age 40, this player has almost $7 million. At age 50, they have almost $11 million. At age 60, they have $17.5 million, and it goes up from there. And the biggest thing I want you to understand on this is, there are a lot of things with baseball, in professional sports in general, that are going to be completely outside of your control. This right here does not have to be outside of your control. This right here is arguably the one thing that is completely inside of your control. These are decisions that you can make. Nothing I'm showing you on this page requires you to pick the next crazy stock, the next great investment. But what it does require is for you to have a plan in place on the upfront to make sure that before you sign your contract, you know where your money's going, how it's going to be positioned, what the plan looks like for future years. It makes sure that you know what your spending is, what you could spend on a reward purchase versus what you need to be spending on a monthly basis. It takes discipline, but it doesn't take luck. And I think that's what's so cool about this. If you're a draftee out there, if you're a family out there and your son is looking at getting drafted in the Major League Baseball draft, remember this. There are 3 buckets that players fall into. Bucket 1, when they get done playing, they need to get a job right away. Bucket 2, financial flexibility. They're going to get a job, but they have the financial flexibility to figure out what they want to do next. And bucket 3 is sit on the couch money. At a bare minimum, if you sign for millions of dollars in the MLB draft, you can fall into that financial flexibility bucket. And there's nothing that is not in your control to do that. But you do need to have a plan in place. You do need to understand what taxes look like. You do need to understand what agent fees look like. You do need to understand how all this all ties together. And that's exactly what we walk families through. We get you educated, we help you make good financial decisions, and we make sure that at bare minimum, your son is going to retire with financial flexibility. So if you're in that situation, make sure you check out our links. You can schedule a call with our team, Moment Private Wealth. We have walked in your shoes. We are in the business of helping professional athletes make sure that they are getting smarter with their money and making sure they are maximizing every source of it. As always, my goal is to help you get smarter with your money. Until next time, my friends.